Y'all tell me when to start.
We don't have any reports of any athletic disruptions because of the weather. Everybody's in practice phase this week
Okay,
anyway.
good. Will there be any, like, games on Friday that we might? I can answer it now. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve.
Football Friday night is next week.
Oh, so no games this week?
And then, no weather hasn't impacted anything in practice, so no one has scheduled.
Excellent. Yes, we're ready. Good afternoon. It is excited to be here as we have had an amazing first day of school. I attribute much of that to the extremely hard work of our staff who have worked all summer preparing to make sure every detail was tended to today, and by all accounts and data points that I'll be sharing, we have been very successful. Obviously, there are a few glitches, and I'll highlight a few of those, most of those being weather-related. I also just want to extend a thank you to our families today who have been amazingly excited and patient as typical first day of school issues with traffic and registration, drop-off and things of that nature. We've just seen amazing teamwork from our families and community to start school, and that is what I mean when I say together we can. So a great commencement to the first day of school. We started off this morning, obviously getting up to the weather that everyone in the region experienced, which did cause a few minor issues, the biggest of which occurred at May Howard, where we had a down power line that ended up delaying school for an hour. But we were able to get students in very quickly, get them acclimated, and get their school day started, and we had an amazing response from our team as well. Again, there were minor issues for maintenance and for transportation. Most of those issues, however, were in somewhat weather-related fashion, just due to the typical weather and what we experienced over the weekend. I'll start with transportation because I know there's always curiosity about that. I am excited to know that our team has been very responsive to our transportation calls. Today, we've had 405 calls. 305 of those have been handled with a resolution. So we are responding in customer service with our families to make sure that we work out any issues that may be coming up with transportation. We are finding that our families are taking advantage of our CAT partnership as well with the Chatham County transportation system. Going into the weekend, 29 passes were issued for our students in both choice and charter, and as well as our traditional public schools, to be able to take advantage of CAT services. But over the weekend, we put in an additional 180 requests with a total of 209 students that have currently signed up to take advantage of that partnership. Our parents can find out more information about that on our website. We did have some late arrivals this morning in transportation, again, mostly due to weather, and then also just typical first day of school type things. As families, again, and we want to say thank you, were vigilant, took their time getting to school this morning, but we had traffic, and I think that's expected. Our campus police responded to all of those traffic concerns, as well as our other municipality police departments to help support that, and they'll continue to do that until things level off. All very expected congestion for the first day of school. This year, one of the big changes that we have in our school district is that we are offering free breakfast and lunch to all students. No forms and no fuss. Every student gets breakfast and every student gets lunch, and that is benefiting. We saw an increase of 22% today in our early data points in students participating in our lunch and breakfast programs. And at least one school that I visited today, they're already talking about having to offer an additional lunch period because so many students are taking advantage of lunch. But generally, there has been a smooth opening as it relates to our student nutrition program, and a lot of excitement about our new meals that we're offering. I've already mentioned some HVAC issues. Mostly those were seen at Hess K-8, Rice Creek K-8, and Southwest Middle School, but we have teams that have responded to those issues related to HVAC. And you can also add Islands High School. Their cafeteria today registered warm during my visit there, but the rest of the building was very conducive to student learning. As we have continued to register students, that is a very fluid process for the next, I would say, 5 to 10 days. We have students that are still showing up, and that's exciting, and they're going through the registration process at our schools. So again, very difficult to give you any solid enrollment numbers right now, but I will tell you everything that we're seeing sees enrollment increasing day by day. And HR is still hard at work to make sure every classroom and critical vacancy is filled. Our number of substitutes in the district do not seem out of ordinary for the first part of the school year. We have hired over the summer 456 new employees, 197 support staff, and that also includes 250 classroom teachers. And this year, we are excited to welcome 45 first-year teachers just beginning their careers in the field of education. We have had many classroom teachers and support staff who are returning back to the district for various reasons. So 35 classroom teachers are rehires, and 30 support staff are rehires. These are all former employees that are coming back to our district. We are still monitoring vacancies very actively. Hiring is happening by the minute, so these numbers could be changing as I'm speaking right now. But we still are looking to hire bus drivers, custodians, paraprofessionals, and special ed teachers, as well as our student nutrition program assistants. So those are just a few fun facts and celebrations, as well as highlights for things that we are continuously working on this week. Again, we are excited. We feel like we've had a very smooth opening of school, an indicator of what the rest of the school year holds for our students. We appreciate our families. We appreciate our staff. All have been tireless in their efforts to prepare students for the opening day of school. And of course, we want to say thank you to our media partners. You all play an important role in our communication efforts across the region. So at this time, I will take any questions that you might have. I would also invite you, and I might be inviting some of my team to the podium if there is a nuanced question that they might have that they can answer that I might not be able to answer. Hi.
We saw a post that's been circulating online. It comes with some backpack confiscations. We're seeing, of course, I think a lot of these spray painted backpacks are being confiscated. I just want to know what your protocol was today in terms of handling that, of making sure those students still able to get supplies, even though their backpacks were confiscated, and then what you told parents in terms of coming to a solution with these confiscations.
Yep, I will invite our Chief of Police, Terry Enoch, but our policy is that we still require clear book bags, and I'm not aware currently of anything that was confiscated, and obviously we're going to make sure students get the supplies that they need regardless of the book bag that they bring, and we will also support our students in getting book bags if they need the clear book bags. But I will invite our Chief of Police up to provide any other insights that he may have on this topic.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, and thank you so much. Before I get to the question, I just want to say that today was largely a success, and it was a success because everyone participated. It was, safety and security is a shared responsibility, as the superintendent said, and everyone helped us have a safe first day of school. In terms of the book bags, student book bags, they're part of our layered security. And mesh and clear book bags, they add to how we keep our schools safe. And so as we're screening, having mesh and clear book bags helped us screen a lot faster. We have hundreds of students. We have moved to 100% screening. This process helps us expedite this very fast when we can see inside the book bag to make sure that weapons or contraband is not coming into the school.
Again, just wanting to iterate that any supplies that were confiscated will be issued to the students so that they don't need anything for the remainder of the day.
And if they don't have, as you mentioned, those backpacks, you guys are willing to provide them.
We will work with the family and/or provide them to make sure the student gets what they need. Thank you for that question.
Of course. And another question I have as well is a couple weeks back, I know that the school district also held a meeting with parents of its autism program. I know there were quite a few issues when it comes to transportation, the changing of schools themselves. I know a few parents leaving that meeting still felt like they didn't have the answers ahead of the first day of school, knowing how they were going to get their child to their school, transportation, knowing their teachers. Were you able to clear up any of those issues those parents had?
Yep, and I'll certainly invite our Chief Academic Officer, Mr. Derek Butler, to answer any nuanced issues around that. But by all accounts, it was something that I asked about on our debrief that we just had, and we did not see any issues with transportation this morning. Obviously, we have an afternoon dismissal to get through. That has just started, but all of those students were delivered to school with no issues. But again, I'll invite Mr. Butler up to the podium, and he can go a little bit deeper, or you can ask any follow-up questions.
Yes, great afternoon. Thank you for that question. We had an opportunity over the last week and a half to support many of those families. Our staff contacted those families directly to make sure that that transition was smooth. Today, we're happy to say that all of those students and those families that we had an opportunity to communicate with had a smooth and strong start to the school year. I had an opportunity to visit several of those classrooms throughout the district, and certainly, as we expected, there are general first day challenges, as there are with all of our students in the start of the school year, but overwhelmingly, we had a really good start.
Okay, Here.
Dr. Watts, you said one of the schools was thinking about adding an additional lunch session because of the interest. What school was that?
That was Islands High School, but we also heard from another school that had seen a significant increase. I didn't visit that school personally, but does anybody remember what the other school was? Nope, but Islands High School, I was physically there and saw the line to get lunch today, and it was standing, like kids were standing and waiting to get lunch. A.B. Williams.
We received some unconfirmed accounts of mold in Charles Ellis. There was actually notice last week by teachers that CertPro was called. We actually were over there. We saw them pull up around 11:30 this morning. What's the status of mold at the school and potential impact on some teachers from the first week?
Yep, so want to certainly acknowledge that we have some moisture issues at the school. We're trying to get to the root cause of that. It could be one of two things that we're currently exploring. As you have mentioned, we did have ServPro come out and do a deep clean, remediate. I know that our Chief Operations Officer, who I'll invite up to provide more details, is also doing air quality checks there to be sure that we have mediated for what is occurring, and that we also have time to work towards what the long-term solution is. There have been staff impacts to that, but we are also addressing those as needed. So, Ms. Davidson, if you want to come up and provide any details.
Good afternoon. As Dr. Watts mentioned, we did have a small roof leak at Charles Ellis, and we also have some moisture issues. We had ServPro on site last week for a overflow of a restroom issue that has been addressed, and then they were back just to make sure that everything is handled. We are doing the air quality test just to ensure the safety and security, and there's nothing to be concerned about.
CertPro was on site today,
They were on site today.
not for the air quality, but for
Not for the air quality, no. And last week as well for the restroom issue.
Ms. Davison, this might be a question for you. Could you speak to that HVAC priority list for the East Loss projects? We also received some reports that, I know the CIC meeting, they're going to talk about the priority list on August 19th, but it's my understanding that Savannah Classical Academy doesn't have an operational AC system is that going to fall on that priority list? Is that something you're looking to address prior to the 19th?
So no, on the 19th, we will be going through that prioritization listing. What we're doing is we're working to understand where the status of each HVAC is within the district, including Savannah Classical. Savannah Classical will be handled a little bit differently than the other, like they're a charter school, so they will be handled through funding most likely directly to the school, and then the school will handle the maintenance of that. But as we work through that prioritization list on the CIC topic, we'll make sure that any issue, like Dr. Watts mentioned, Islands High School is having a little bit of HVAC issue in their cafeteria, so all those issues are prioritized for addressing.
How are you determining the prioritization? What's the rubric?
So, yeah, I'm happy to share the rubric with you. We have many different factors in it. Safety and security is on there. It's a weighted factor. Class sizes and just utilization of the building is another weighted factor. There's many different categories, or several different categories, but I'm happy to share that with you.
I'll just note, I think it's important for the community to note that, again, while we are thankful that we have passed an East Bluffs referendum, we don't get all of the funding at one time. It comes out in payments, and we have not received a payment for East Bluffs 5 yet. And so we will have to handle projects as the money comes in, as the revenue flows in. So as soon as that money comes in, we'll be using that prioritization list that Ms. Davidson just spoke to, so that we are addressing things in the order of the most critical and urgent needs first, ones that impact safety, well-being, conduciveness to teaching and learning. Obviously, those rise to the top as priorities. But we are well aware of the issues at Savannah Classical, and as soon as we get some of these final logistical things worked out, we'll be communicating with them on what to expect.
What stood out to you today as a really positive point? Student interactions?
I would say student interaction was my favorite aspect of the day. Just seeing our students, while some a little nervous, I think the general sentiment of most kids was one of excitement. I enjoyed seeing all the first day of school outfits, particularly the hair bows and the little girls' hair were just adorable. I got to dance with students at one of our charter sites today, sit in on students being read to today, interact with some high school students about literary essays that they'll be writing this year. So just actually seeing the hard work manifest into the schools and how it translates to what is happening in the classrooms with our students every day is the most exciting aspect of the day for me.
And staying on that topic, you physically being in the building today, what did that mean to the students to put a name to a face of who's in charge of their education?
Absolutely. So as a very young child myself, the first day of school was almost like a holiday, synonymous with Christmas. It was always one of the most exciting days, and I think I still have a lot of that joy. I didn't sleep very much last night, anticipating what today would hold. So just like many of our students, I have a lot of those feelings that come with the first day of school. And I do think it's important that students see me boots on the ground first day, so I can acknowledge the importance of a first day. Strong start means epic end, and we want to have 180 days of just amazing schoolwork. So I'll say at A.B. Williams, the students asked me a lot of questions, which I found to be many of the questions were just intriguing. They got to learn what I'm most afraid of, what book I read recently, just all kinds of something about sleep paralysis they asked me about. So, when you invite students to ask you questions, you never know what kind of questions you're going to get. But that interaction was really fun.
What are you most afraid of?
Critters and creatures. I'll just leave it at that. You can leave the rest to the imagination. Oh, my dance moves, yes. That was fun today, too.
Dr. Watts, of course, you mentioned some vacancies that you are currently still trying to fill, including, bus drivers, special education teachers. Given as you're still trying to work through filling those vacancies, how are you ensuring that those vacancies are not going to be an issue or not going to affect the education of students?
Sure, and we will do everything we can to ensure that we minimize the impact on student learning, but I want to be very transparent in the fact that it does, right? When a student is not going into a classroom with a dedicated teacher, it has an impact. But I think our schools are working with creative scheduling, teachers cover for one another, and most importantly, our HR team is working day and night to close the loop on some pending applications. Over the weekend, I texted my HR team and I said, give me a button to wear that says, ask me about a career in SCCPSS, because just over the weekend, and just my own personal interactions and errand running, I probably talked to 4 or 5 people who have interest in the district. Of course, I don't know how any of those will fall out. But I will say that all of us are people who should be recruiting talent to our district. We should be talking about the opportunities in our district and what a premier place it is to work. We're working very hard to make sure that the culture and the way we take care of people is making our district a place where people want to come work, live, and grow. And I love talking about that wherever I go. I was also this weekend, it was shared with me a video and a billboard that now is at the airport. So that as parents and different individuals get off planes, they get to see that we are recruiting and hiring, and we invite them to apply as their interests are in different positions. So don't want to minimize by any means the impact it has when a child doesn't have a teacher. That's a real thing. But I also want to acknowledge and advance that it is something that we are working on day and night to make sure that we can be 100% staffed.
And have you been able to find the root cause of maybe why we're seeing these vacancies? Is it, competition, pay, advertising?
Yeah, it's a national problem, so it's not unique to Savannah Chatham County Public Schools, but we're going to be the first to solve it. So it is something that we're seeing across the board. I think a lot of it is remnants of COVID. People just did not return back to the profession. The culture of the way we educate kids now is very different nationally. The way the profession is seen and experienced is very different. So there's some work to do there. Obviously, one of the things we know could be a challenge for individuals is compensation. So in the last year, we did a major compensation study, and we were able to make some adjustments to pay, in addition to offering our teachers a cost of living raise, and on top of that, a $500 stipend so that they're not going into their pockets to buy incentives and additional materials for their classrooms. We're actually supporting that. So, there are many big things we can do to make sure that we attract talent, but the micro moments and the micro things make a difference too. And so we're trying to deal with all of those things so that we can invite people to come work for us in Savannah Chatham County Public School System.
And then a final question on that matter. Of course, one of the vacancies you mentioned was special education. Going back to that autism program meeting, would you say ultimately those vacancies played a role in having to have those school changes for some students, or did that play a role in all?
I will again invite Mr. Butler up. I don't necessarily think it was vacancies. We actually increased the number of students that we serve with autism. And by reducing the number of classrooms, we created vacancies that naturally did not exist last year. But I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
So not a workforce issue. Really, our transition was really around our services for our students, and those additional classrooms are largely staffed at this time.
How many vacancies for those classrooms do you have?
I think we may have had one class that was not fully staffed, but we were in the process of filling those vacancies and had a contingency plan in place to support.
Dr. Watts talked about the substitute number not being out of the ordinary for the start of the school. What is the expected number of substitutes that you might have on average?
Well, I don't have the actual numbers. I was looking at the actual percentages. We typically are looking at the number of teacher to the vacancy ratio, and we have our vacancies are similar to what we had last year. So that's what I was referring to as far as subs. We are filling those substitutes in that same level that we were last year. We didn't have a lot of absences that were today, and we don't have a lot of absences projected out for the rest of the week. So that's what that is in reference to.
I will just close us up by saying the school day has not ended. We have just started dismissal home today. We ask that our families be patient. If they are driving to school to retrieve a student, be mindful that we have students walking, biking, and so watch your speed, stay off your cell phone, stay focused on the roadways. Be patient with our buses this afternoon as they make drop-offs. Students are just learning new drop-offs for the first time today. Some of them may be unsure of where to get off. But we will not go home today until every single student is delivered home safely. So we just ask that our families be patient. We promise we're going to keep your most precious cargo protected, and we'll deliver our students home today safely. And hopefully they'll have a lot to share with their families about an exciting first day of school. Thank you.
You said no impacts to after-school activities from the weather situation?
Nothing currently, no. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.